So now let's dive into the framework of inner development goals. And what this is about is actually very similar to the sustainable development goals that we looked at before, because it's about taking something extremely complex and then simplifying it into a kind of a model and a common language which we can all relate to, where we can work together and manage this complexity. And I'm happy to say, as being a Swede myself, that this is actually a Swedish initiative to begin with. But it has a global scope, a global application, and there are more and more organizations and universities joining. So this is about accelerating the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's also about being a positive force for change in our society. And here we have companies like IKEA being part of it, who, as you also heard a bit, they are integrating this into their leadership trainings. We also have examples like the country, Costa Rica, who, as you may know, they are quite advanced when it comes to sustainability. They have made a decision to implement the inner development goals across the public sector, which will be very interesting to follow. And then we have the European Parliament, for instance, who recommended the inner development goals in a recent work about the SDGs. So it's getting more and more traction, and it's not perfect yet, but it's out there and it's for all of us to just take it, run, learn, and then improve it together. So it's the result of a co-creative exercise which involved more than 1,000 people from around the world, and Christine, that we will hear from soon, was one of them, so she can talk about this more in detail. But it's beautiful because research shows that these different skills and qualities and capabilities, they can be developed, right? Because in this framework we have 5 categories: the being, thinking, relating, collaborating, and acting. And below that we have 23 skills and qualities. So then looking at them one by one, just to give you a flavor for what this looks like. The first one is about being, because it all starts with ourselves. It starts within. So it's about cultivating a relationship to ourselves. So the first skill here is the inner compass. What is our personal values? What is important to us? And how can we make sure to understand why it's that way, and then also understand where others are? Then it's about integrity and authenticity. How can we make sure that we are honest, that we are true, that we are real, and acting from that? Then we have, of course, openness and a learning mindset. And that is about really being open to new ways of thinking, new opportunities, and being curious. Making sure that we don't always think that we have the best solution ourselves, but look around us. What's happening in the world? How can we make things better? Self-awareness is key as well. And here it's a plus, of course, if the way we think that we behave is actually the way that people around us perceive us, right? So if you haven't done it already, it's good to just talk about this with people around you. And here we also have an element of self-regulation. So, okay, I realize that now I'm doing this, or I'm acting that way, or I'm stuck in this behavior. How can I then change that if I want to? And then we have the presence, as I said in the beginning. And this is about really being in the moment, not being stuck in the past or just focusing on the future all the time, but being in the moment, just observing what it looks like without judgment. And when you work with all these kind of skills, you will learn that you can become non-reactive when facing complexity. And that is a very useful skill. That takes us to thinking. And this is the more cognitive skills. Here we have the critical thinking. And it's good there to know that this needs to be balanced a bit, because of course we need to be critical. But here, studying in the universities, etc., is teaching us that we should be very critical. But if we become too critical, it can, of course, be a challenge, because then we may not be open to new perspectives. Then we have complexity awareness. So the way we are solving problems is the problems, as we heard, because we live in a complex world. So this is where we need to be able to understand complexity, to navigate it, and to work with it. perspective skills. How can we bring in perspectives of not just ourselves and people close to us, but from other parts of the world, other cultures? Sense making. How can we structure the unknown? How can we create patterns and conscious stories to make sense of things? And also, how can we think long term? How can we have a mindset that makes sure that the decision we take today will be appreciated by many generations ahead? We have relating, how we care about others in the world. Here we have appreciation. We need joy to stick together. What are we grateful for? And also connectedness, because when we feel connected to ourselves, to each other, we care, and then we genuinely do good things. We need to be humble, and we need to act with empathy and compassion. Then we have collaborating. So it's about communication. How can we communicate not only mind to mind, but also heart to heart? So we feel something. How can we create things together? And how can we work across cultures to really create things and embrace diversity together? Then we have trust, how we can build that, and mobilization, inspire others to drive change. And last but not least, driving change. And here it's a lot about being brave, because everyone will not like what we're up to, and we need to dare to do new things. So let's make sure that we can work with this by being creative, being optimistic, and also not give up. And in order to do this, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to sleep, we need to rest, we need to recharge. So here you have the map. And I want you to see this as a map to explore, not just a list to tick off and then you're done. You can of course start approaching it that way, but then when you work with it, you will learn that it has a lot of links, and it's good to work in an iterative fashion. So I'm sure you wonder what you can do now. So just some short suggestions. First of all, if you haven't done it already, just start observing yourself without judgment. And then also start reflecting on this with yourself, with your friends, colleagues. What is it that you feel comfortable with already? Which skills do you want to develop? How can you and your organization foster a culture where this can actually grow and be used? There is a self-assessment link. We will post all the links later that you can use, and there will come an official one as well. And as this is a non-for-profit and open source work, there are a lot of resources available on the website, and I can recommend you to go in there and have a look. They just say, take it and run. There will be a toolkit coming, and there is an amazing community that you're welcome to join. So with that, thank you so much. And welcome to connect if you want to. And I look forward to just continuing this exciting journey with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. You have inspired me. You've inspired me over the last few years, and I've some new things to think about. Thank you.